Harking from the masterminds of Graceful Explosion Machine comes Super Crush KO. A big thanks for helping us reach 70,000 subscribers, that's amazing. If you enjoyed the content, then consider sticking around. It's a slick and polished example of a side-scrolling action beat-em-up with a kick-ass femme fatale and a rotund cat named CHUBBZ. Thanks to the developer for the review copy. Should you save the cat? Let's find out. Super Crush KO has a Shakespearean-level story, the stuff of sonnets and operas for centuries, and when a frankly rude robot-commanding alien has stolen your cat, CHUBBZ, not cool, an absolute travesty worthy of any form of melee-based retribution, no doubt. And thus your story begins. There are a few tete-a-tetes between yourself, Karen, and the other character, Anne, and the writing is sharp, brief, and with a cynical wit you rarely see. Think Guacamelee meets Sword of Ditto. Slick is the best way to describe the gameplay, however it isn't perfect for all its silky smoothness. Each stage plays out like an interconnected series of arena-style rooms, very much like the aforementioned Guacamelee. However, unlike that title, each section is back-to-back and given a score based on your ability to switch up your 4 different skills and special moves. These are the Twister Drill, Uppercut Slice, Air Pop Punch, and Ground Shake. Now all of these special X-based moves are based on the greatest snacks of all time. Popcorn, pizza, milkshake, pretzels. 3 out of 4 ain't bad. And these require charge to use, and with each enemy dropping these purple charged crystals, you'll be scooping that up during your lead slinging ballet. When you've built up enough kills, you'll fill your charge bar, allowing a death ray that Goku would be proud of. All the while firing your blaster, which handily keeps you afloat while shooting. Just don't let it overheat or you'll come crashing back down. With every kill, a score multiplier is increasing until it hits that elusive S rank. Much like a Gun Carter veteran, you're aiming to keep the flow of combat going without letting damage interrupt it. It can feel initially tempting to spam the buttons like a headless chicken pecking at the controller, but it's not necessary, and will later just plain not work to succeed. With a dash move that allows you to dodge through bullets, there's always an option to evade most damage. To mix things up, some enemies will charge or shoot at you, and this is shown when a lightning bolt symbol is shown above their heads. Not all attacks can be dodged though, and when a red bolt is shown, it's time to get out of dodge. When you become adept at the game, you can chain everything together in one continuous fluid motion, and it feels lovely. There is a lot of repetition here, but it's about trying for that perfect run. When you're back-to-back receiving S-ranked sections, only to take a silly hit which sets your multiplier back to D, it stings, but with skillful play, you can get that rank right back up before the section's out, so it only adds to the frenetic shenanigans. I would have liked to see more variety in terms of level design. The left to right sections just begin to tire somewhat before the end. Sonic got around that by introducing the bonus stages, and maybe something to delineate the experience would have helped. Initially, boss encounters aren't necessarily about presenting a huge risk to your life, as much as they are about knocking your multiplier score. Getting an S rank here is a real challenge, but the difficulty in the second half of the game ratchets up throughout, presenting a real challenge for those still engaged enough. Between stages, you'll be checking your online rankings, giving the game a feeling that you're never playing on your own. There's a sea of other Switch owners vying to knock you off the top 100, and I loved it. No, it's not the first time a game's done high score chasing, but rarely is it done so well as this. While on the flip side, if that's not your thing, you could play through never paying it a second thought and simply enjoying the experience. There's nothing floaty or rushed about the control of your character. Her movements are sharp and responsive, with a handy double jump that's all aided by the slick 60 frames per second performance. And with a melee attack straight out of Streets of Rage, it feels excellent. While I acknowledge the repetition as a positive for a high score chaser, I also note that it won't appeal to all players, and I would have liked a 2-player co-op mode, and personally found the initially thrilling combat becomes a touch more of a slog before the final credits roll at around about 4 hours. And to be honest, in a game that short, that's a touch worrying. Now that being said, a stage at a time and high score chasing, it is delightful. Simple to start, but difficult to master. As such, I'd give gameplay 16 out of 20, while I can't knock the controls in any way, they get 20 out of 20. Visually, Zach Wolf and Saffron Aurora have done an excellent job with the presentation of Super Crush KO. Picture the love child of Guacamelee and the Sword of Ditto as mentioned, with the vibrant, punctuated world resembling a candy-fueled fever dream. Unfortunately, just as with the core gameplay, it felt too much like you were seeing the same areas repeated throughout a stage, to the point of visual fatigue. Running at that silky 60 frames per second though, there is an importance to being able to quickly and subconsciously scan the screen for enemies. They typically follow a pattern of darker and green hues to enable you to do just that. One gripe, and the common theme of the review though, is that lack of variety. They're introduced at an intentionally slower rate to enable the player to master their required method of dispatch, but it's notable. Particular credit must go to the hand-drawn artwork that accompanies the comic book style interactions. The iconic end-stage jumping fist pump is straight out of an 80s movie. Another area you subconsciously notice, and it is apparent if it's missing, is the excellent parallax work. These are the layers of depth given to each scene via the moving sections in the background and occasionally foreground, and they're done well. The music, which has its own OST available for purchase, is on point, and the sound effects are both useful and feel oddly familiar, which is always a good sign. Just as with gameplay, repetition and lack of variety end up mildly hurting what's otherwise a wonderful looking game. Visuals score 15 out of 20, while the audio scores 17 out of 20. Perhaps some voice acting would have been a nice touch, maybe for next time. On to value then. At launch, the game's £10.43, €12.59, or $13.49. There's a 10% sale on. Regardless of that, I think they've nailed the price point, and currently it's around £10. It's bang on for the money. It's not going to break the bank, and while it is relatively short, with 4 unique areas split into a number of stages, each ending with a boss, it's a solid first outing for Karen and CHUBBZ. There is so much the developer can do with these characters, and the overall experience and high score chasing aspects I really enjoyed. It just needs more variety and to be a tad longer. Value still scores 16 out of 20. Super Crush KO is a real pick up and play type game, whether it's bashing out a few stages for those high scores or for the thrill of the slick rhythmic based combat, you won't feel shortchanged. It scores an overall switch up score of 84%. A big thanks to the developer for the review copy and for making a decent game. It's nice to review one. Once again, thanks for the 70,000 of you that follow us, we really do appreciate it, and to the patrons who support us each and every month. If you want to join them, all the links will be down in the description or at the end. For all things Switch all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers guys, see ya! Switch all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers guys, see ya!